Thanks everyone for coming. It's very cool to be here in Yerevan. We have quite a good time yesterday with tons of other speakers. And today's my talk is about the React Web, and React Native. My name is Eugene. I live in Ukraine. Mostly for the past years I'm working with the React Native, but it's not only working with React Native to be a mobile developer. I was a front-end developer. Sometimes I do this even now, and sometimes I'm like a full-stack developer. I'm making some Node.js and back-end development. But mostly my focus is on React Native because I like it. But I will explain some parts of my talk from different parts of view, from the web developer, from the front-end developer perspective, and from the mobile React Native developer perspective. So keep in touch. When I'm thinking of mixing the React Web or front-end with the React Native, the first thought in my head was like, it's a little bit hard. First time when you try to type something in Google, there is so many options, there is so many answers, and a lot of them are just not working. Because the Stack Overflow answer which you find, and it's from 2017 or 2016 or 2018, it doesn't work. That's why there is quite a long journey just to find the way to mix the web and mobile. And it's not really easy, because you're spending you're wasting your time just trying this option, this option, this option. It just doesn't work. So my job for this talk is that after this talk you will avoid all those issues and you will have the good life, the good development life. The first question is, how much of you are working with the React Native? Yay! How much try to React Native and not working? Nice, nice. So mixing the web and mobile in the same project, in the same repo, or even in the same product is not too easy because of a bunch of next slides. It's not for everyone. I think it's not for the small startups, or it's more about the big projects. But you never know when you will become the big one. The first thought when you're thinking about the mixing the web and then the mobile is like, we have React Native for web. And that's the right answer. And this is the final line for my talk, then I can just go. That's it. But it's not so easy. Why? Why it's not so easy? Let's imagine, what do we have when we're talking about the front end? We have a React and a bunch of ecosystem, Redux, Mobex, whatever, and a bunch of other libraries which you are using, and the browser. That's cool. That's kind of simple view of this issue. But you have the standards, you have the browser implementation, you have Babel, you have quite a lot of bugs in your code. I hope so not, but sometimes the libraries which you are using have bugs. So it's not just so simple. It's not just a cake with 2 layers. It's even more. You should keep it in your head. So when I'm talking about React Native for web, the cake is just growing. You have the browser, you have the React, you have React Native, which converts the React Native to the web. And you have the native platform. And each layer is not perfect. He has a lot of bugs, really. Some of the bugs, for example, I can talk clearly right now for the React Native side, have a history for a couple of years, and they are not yet fixed, and that's an issue. So imagine that you have the React Native bug, and then the React Native for web is trying to fix that, and then you have a React, and then you have a browser, and this pipeline should somehow working. So from my perspective, from my point of view, it's really, really dangerous to use. It's not that React Native for web is bad, no. But the more layers you have on your architecture, the more issues, the more potential bugs you can have. And it's not even potential, it's a real experience. I have them a lot. So I haven't used the React Native for web because I'm afraid that I will get tons of issues. They have the rules. They have, for example, if you have a React Native the view, it transforms to the div. But it's not only just a simple transformation. It's something more. You have styles. You have the whole life. So when I'm thinking about the React Native for web, for me personally, is like I will break something. Not only the production side, but I will break my head, my mind, and then I will have a lot of nights when I should work and fix everything. So what should you expect from React Native for web? The first one, as I said, that you have a platform bugs, you have React Native bugs, you have React Native for web bugs, you have limits, you have issues, and just thinking about that React Native will have the new version, and React Native for web should run as fast as they can, just to be able to fix everything and or to be synchronized with that. That's not so fast. There is a lot of efforts which contributors put in React Native for web, but I'm afraid it's not enough. How you will control the third-party components, the markup which generates from React Native for web automatically, how do you control it? It's okay to control by yourself with your project, but with third-party components, it's hard. The styling. I think for the front-end developers, styling is one of the biggest issue. What are you using? Styling components, CSS, CSS and JS, and etc. and etc. So there is so many options, and imagine that you have right here you will have the same issues, and you will have to pick up, and you will have to think about the React Native have styling and styling differently with the React Native with React Web. It's hard. When I'm trying to put it in my head and trying to synchronize everything, it's really hard. And you should keep it each day. And not only you, maybe you're the greatest one, but you have the colleagues which are great too, but they are not so excited as you are, and they will need to learn tons of new stuff, and it's not very good for them. And the one last but not least issue is it's hard to integrate with existing application. Because if you start from the web, from the front end, and then you add the mobile, it doesn't work. Why? Because the main point is React Native for web. So you're starting your project to making from the React Native, from the mobile. And then thinking about the web. I had an issue like when I already have the web project, and the customer was willing to add the React Native. What your thoughts? Is it possible? The amount of efforts which developer will spend just trying to rewrite the existed really good existed front-end application is too high. So it's really hard to integrate for the existing project. So the next step is, when you're thinking about how to deal with that, is maybe I need to share my code. I need to share as much as I can. So you have some part of core, some shared code, which you can use in mobile and the web. That is quite easy. Maybe you can extract it to the separate separate package. And look, your project look like shared, web, and a mobile. And it's not the trash bin, it's just a beautiful picture. So, the next level of issues is how to manage everything, because the more packages you have, the more package and dependency held you have. And if you wanted to do it monorepo, which is the primary focus for this talk, it becomes even more harder. So you have the monorepo, and you have a mobile, and you have a web, and you have a shared. So the first thing is for my head is like npm link. It will help. It will help a lot. So you're just making React Native and React Web packages and just link the local package. It's that simple. But the first issue from the React Native perspective, that there is a bug, the issue number 1 from the 2017, which said we don't support the symlinks. So that's it. The issue is too big and you're not able to move next. So maybe it's okay to work locally. Maybe it's okay to work and build your application, but it's not okay for development, because if you're changing some package, even locally, what's the next steps? It doesn't automatically change something. You should update it. The next solution, like the company called Wix, I don't know if you know that. It's quite a big company, which one of the majors, and they have one of the biggest React Native teams. So right now, I think the Microsoft have the most biggest, and the Facebook, the most biggest React Native teams, and Wix is the third one. They have more than 50 that working for only one application, and it's so big. So those guys are sharing a tons of open source project, and they have created like a 3 years ago the WML solution, which worked like it watching all your files, all your external packages, and just copy each one. So if something is changing, it's just copying and copying and copying. What do you think? How good is it? Like it uses Watchman, and Watchman sometimes is working bad. Not sometimes, almost always, because it's too hard to track 100, 1,000 files and do it good, unfortunately. So the issue for me is the last update of this tool is 2 years ago, too much, and it's unstable. It can break right after the 5 minutes when you start in development. I didn't like it. It's easy to use. It's just install it globally, adding the package which you should watch, and start the process which is watching and copying the files. That's it. Too easy, but it's not really good. The third thing that we have, it's a Metro bundler. Who doesn't know, the React Native have the separate Metro bundler, not a Webpack, the fancy. It has his own rules. It has its own limits, and it's not very easy to live with that. Thanks for Facebook. But again, I like that we have React Native, but it's the working with Metro bundler sometimes it's hard. So example, when you wanted to change the behavior of Metro bundler is that. So you can ask and watch for some folders. You can ask to resolve some extra node models which are based on outside of your project. As I said, this is one of the examples. If you want to use the watch folder, it specifies the additional places to watch, because your project is not only the only one. And the other issue, by default, React Native, the ecosystem of React Native is not able to track something outside of your root project folder. So it's not just easy to say, hey, please import something 2 levels up of my project. It just doesn't work. And another command, like extra node models, we will use it. You will use it in the example later, and which adds some additional node models which you can include beside the ones that you have in the project. So now, even when you're making everything good, you have shared, you have web, and you have mobile, there is a dependency hell, because React Native using the same library as web and can use. You have the shared folder which using the core packages, and which shouldn't be spread across the whole platforms. It should be placed in one place. This is the real issue. So this is the time to have Lerna. How many of you knows about Lerna? Yay! So Lerna is helping to manage a multi-packaging repo and to manage the dependency and to fix the dependency hell. It's quite easy to use, really. It has a bunch of commands, but it's easy to use. You just need to go to your newly created repo and say Lerna init, and it initializes the Git repository, copying the bootstrapping the package JSON, the Lerna JSON, and creating the package directly. So after, by the end, you have only two files: the settings for Lerna and the package JSON for global dependencies. And the packages itself. So the packages, I mean shared code, web, and mobile. The configuration is quite simple at the beginning. Then you can make it complex as much as you want it. So you have the packages folder, and you're saying just we are using the whole spectrum of not the packages, the folders inside the package folder. And the version. Right now it's not very important to have the version. And also we can ask Lerna to use yarn instead of npm, because yarn is cooler. At least it's faster. Then one of the options is just quickly create the core or share folder, whatever it's naming, and just say yes. It means like skip all questions. Just make it silently and ask no more questions. So you can create in the shared folder, the web, and then the mobile folder. You can make it even, it doesn't mean that you need to use Lerna for that. You can create manually, like create a folder, initialize the React Native application, initialize the React Web application, and do it manually. It doesn't matter. Then you can manage your dependencies. You can add, for example, this is the example when we are using Lerna add data functions. And data functions, the first example of the command is adding data functions for shared component, only for that. Or you can add Lerna add prefix shared. Prefix, I'm using the prefix just to identify that it's my package. You can use your name of the company or just skip it. You can just name your packages like shared, and that's it. I prefer to use some prefixes to visually identify that it's mine. It's totally mine. I'm the master of it. So the second command will add shared dependency for web and for mobile folders, for mobile packages, but not for itself. It's very important. So this is an example of how it looks like. I should zoom in and close everything, sorry, outline. So we have packages, shared, and web. For the example, I have used the React Native basic command like React Native init, and for the web I have used create React app. And as you can see, same configuration in Lerna, nothing very hard to predict. Very simple configuration for the package JSON, and for the shared folder I have created the package JSON, which use the data function. So Lerna add data functions as a dependency, and I have created a time.js file which use the format from the time functions and just format the current data time. And we have a function which have a name getCurrentTime. On the web part, we have application.js, which imports the get time from the shared component, from the shared package, and using this function. And in the mobile, we are doing the same. We are going to the app.js, same line of the code, and same usage. Let's try to run it. And start from web. Oh, packages. npm start. Yeah, I know, it's Yarn. As I said, like, I love Yarn. The most excited example, we have the current timestamp at the bottom. And it goes from the shared component. For the mobile, we should use Xcode. Well, I should definitely run the Xcode. Oh. So I'm running my mobile application and waiting. Come on. Yeah. Same time. Small, but I hope you believe me that it's working. Let's go back to the slides. The coding issues, the development issues, it's not only one issue that you have. Okay, you can be good. You're like a talented developer. You have created everything. Everything works smoothly. But there is an issues not only on that level. There is a product, there is a design, there is a UI, there is a UX. And it's not so simple as you can think about it. The first code issue is you have the shared code. And the shared code should be fully platform agnostic. There should be no code in the shared package which is using DOM or, I don't know, or Bluetooth or something else, something that comes from platform. One of the examples is like you have this simple product page and the action is adding to the cart. I added the feature at the cart, and if you will look very carefully, right now I'm using my zooming power, and you will find that I'm used the local storage. This is the shared, again, this is the shared package. Local storage is living inside the browser, but in React Native, it's not. For the React Native, we're using async storage. So this part of the code should live somewhere else of the shared. And it's very simple, really simple example, but let's imagine you have a lot of things that you can use from each platform. Again, local storage, session storage, I don't know, what else? Maybe WebAssembly, who knows? And SVG by default. So this is the first issue. The next issue, like from my perspective, sometimes clients think that the web part maybe can be simple, maybe even more simple than the application. The customers expect that your application will be so good, so juicy. It's okay for the web platform to be simple. Lack of animation, lack of some native for that platform experience, sliding, swiping, or something else. So React Native should look much better. One of the examples, the web page have a list of products or a list of items, and only one list. And there is a pagination. One of the examples, there is a pagination. You can click 1, 2, 3. In the mobile world, it's a little bit harder because you can have the list of the lists. You can swipe it. You should preload the whole bunch of data right on the beginning. Again, web can have only one list, and you should think about how the logic you're loading, how the data source is looking. The mobile will have a list of lists, and it's not too easy to do. So the strategy of data loading on the mobile can be quite different than the web. The data source for the controls can be different too. The section list asks to have the specific structure of the data. It's quite simple. It's just the title of the section and the data. But web is not there. Web just can be like items.map, and that's it. We're just going through the whole list of items and showing it on the page. So this part of the issue is that you should think about it. we're too close to the finish line. So by the end of this topic, I want to make a summary. You should not expect and to be very positive about reusing the shared code. It's maybe look like very simple by the start, but when you're trying to make some real things, it becomes harder and harder. And there is quite a lot of difference. You should check the idea of the separation before you are going, not like production, but in the active development stage, because again, there is a difference. You should talk to your product owners because the behavior of the application can differ. As I said previously, this is the difference, and it's not for you, it's more about the product owner. The product owner should know this issue and should somehow handle it. Simplify the behavior. Make it the same for the web and for the mobile. Maybe trying to balance. But it's not a development only issue. And you should relax and write the good code. This is the major point, I think so. So this is my last one. And if you have questions, I would like to answer it. Thank you. Any questions? No? So if you will have the questions, oh yeah.
You said about local storages,
yeah.
using them, but so we can use it in the React Native because it's on the browser. But what about file system of mobile devices? Can we use it from React Native or we're restricted?
So the question is, can we have an issues with the local storage, can we use the file system? You can use everything that you're able from the platform perspective, but the API is different. So your API call is totally different from the platform to platform. That's the major reason. The code will be different just on that point, but you are not able to put it in the one shared package.
Okay,
you should separate it.
The answer is that we can use
yeah, React Native is allowed you, and it depends on the platform, Android or iOS. It's a little bit different, but yeah, it's not an issue.
The API for Android and iOS for React Native developers is the same, or we have to?
Sometimes, like again, the local storage is the same, you can use it, but the behavior can be a little different. Really, really. For example, Android have an option to back up all the user's data, and if you uninstall the application and install it again, the data is there. But you're expecting that if you're uninstalling the application, it will be not there. You should go and check the specific flag for the Android only. So this is behavior, but it's a platform difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't hear the answer on the question, but how do you approach situation cases where, for example, the shared component should have some specific, platform specific, for example, local storage or C storage? How do you approach it?
The first one you can like making some abstraction, but again you can change the behavior. Like the main reason is to return the object for, like you have a function, let's call it feature function. Sorry, the main question is how to handle the platform specific code. Maybe place it to the shared or not. My suggestion is the shared can have a tons of business logic, and it can return the data, change the structure, change something, and return to somewhere. And the mobile or web just using this function, which returns the data, and change the structure as it needed, or add it to the local storage or something else. So the code is not there. It shouldn't be there. It's not that simple. That's the main reason. It's not that simple. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I got it. So the shared components are mostly for business logic.
Yeah. And it's really, for the big project, I saw like 1,000 lines of shared code because it's a big product, and it's not just for 2 lines of code. It's really an issue. Yeah. Let's make 2 more questions and finish.
We know that React Native has many bugs during development, and what do you advise? How do you try to solve that problem? What do you advise?
Yeah. So the question is, React Native have a tons of issues, and what's my best practices? I have even more issues because I'm actually using Expo. And it's like Expo issues and the issues with the React Native. It's a hard choice. Sometimes I'm just locked and I'm talk to product owner and say, it's not possible to do right now because of the situation. Maybe we need to spend more time. Can we postpone this solution? Can we change the behavior? So it's a balance of what we are trying to achieve and what we are getting. Sometimes during the development, the result is not the same as expected. And sometimes it's just a pain. There is no silver bullet, unfortunately. So you're just trying. Sometimes it's just waiting. As I said, like a metro issue. I found a lot of issues which have 2 years, which was created 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I think I'm not that good to go and making the PR because the ecosystem of React Native is quite complex. I wish so to make some changes, maybe in the future. But it's a balance of product owners, of idea of the product, and what we're getting, unfortunately. Yeah, the last one.
Slightly mentioned about libraries we use in React Native, and I was wondering if there is any support for 64-bit libraries.
You mean for the Android or so I didn't really get the question, like supporting 64-bit?
Yes. Libraries, React support is only 32 bits.
I think they have they already had supporting the core. I think the latest update adds the 64-bit support.
I had an issue with this, and I was searching on the internet, and they were saying there is no support, and I was wondering.
Maybe I miss it. I know that by the end of August this year, Android will restrict and restrictly use only 64-bit builds, and I know that the issue. I don't remember really. Maybe you can go and we can talk a little bit later because like I need to look at. From my head, I think that they released with the latest the support of 64 bits. Yeah, I think they're ready. They're smart guys. Okay, if you have more questions, I'm here the whole day. So go and ask me. It's not a problem. Thank you very much.